Today I'm going to tell you a love story. I know, not what you were expecting. Yes, this is a love story about a triangle and a rectangle. So once upon a time there was this triangle, and this triangle was living its very independent life all off by its own, and there was this rectangle that was also living its independent life, but there was something missing from both of their lives. Then one day this mathematician came together and said, you know what? I think that you two should be together. I think you're perfect for each other. I know you're a triangle and you're a rectangle, but we can make this work, people. We can make this work. So he put them together and he said, your new love is now called a composite shape. You're no longer a triangle, you're no longer a rectangle. Together, we're gonna call you composite. And that's how composite shapes came to be. True story. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's not actually how composite shapes came to be. Wouldn't that be nice? Let's just pretend. So today we're gonna learn how to find the area of composite shapes. A composite shape is a shape that is made of two or more shapes. And while composite shapes look complex, finding the area of them really isn't that bad. What we do is we're going to take the composite shape and we're going to break it into smaller parts that we're more familiar with. Shapes that we know how to find the area of. So here's a picture of a composite shape. Notice how we do not know how to find the area of this pentagon. We don't know how to do that. So in order to find the area, we're going to break it into smaller parts that we are more familiar with. So in this case, I see a rectangle and I see a triangle. The love story continues. So I'm going to break this into a rectangle and a triangle. And to find the area of this composite shape, I'm going to do the area of the triangle plus the area of the rectangle. Because if I add the area of this triangle with the area of this rectangle, I will get the area of this entire composite shape. Okay, so to help keep our work organized, I am going to number my shapes. And when I number them, I'm going to put the number in a circle around it because look at all these other numbers that are on our shape. So if it has a circle around it, that's me numbering the shape itself. So I'm going to call the triangle shape number 1, and I'm going to call the rectangle shape number 2. Okay, so I just numbered my shape. So on the original shape over here, we were given all these different dimensions. So now I want to write the dimensions on my rectangle over here, but I want to make sure that I'm being careful because they're not all, like this 12 isn't going to be used in both the shapes. Actually, 12 isn't going to be used in either of the shapes, and I'll show you why. So let's start with the outside ones because those aren't changing. So this length is 3, 3, 8, 8, and then this 12 is telling us from the bottom of this shape to the very top of that shape. So remember, we split our shape right here. So that 12 is going to help us determine this length or this height of our triangle. But 12 is not the height of our triangle, right? Because from here to here is 8. So if from here to here is 8 and this whole thing is 12, that would make the height of our triangle 4. Because I would do 12 minus 8 because there's 8 inches right here. It tells us that because this length right here is the same as this length. So if both of these are 8 and the whole thing is 12, 12 minus 8 is 4. So that means that the height of my triangle is 4 inches. So now I actually need to find the area of my two shapes. So I'm going to say my area for shape number 1 is a triangle. So the area formula for a triangle is A equals base times height divided by 2. Okay, we know that. The area formula, always write that down first. Now I'm going to fill in the base and the height. So A equals, the base of my triangle is the same as this base. Do you see how that's the same length? So that means that my base is going to be 8 times my height is 4 because we just want the height of the triangle divided by 2. Well, 8 times 4 is 32. 32 divided by 2 is 16. So area equals 16, and then don't forget about your unit. When it's area, it's going to be unit squared. So inches squared would be our area for shape number 1. So the area for shape number 1 is 16 inches squared. The area for shape number 2 is this rectangle here. So area of a rectangle the area formula for a rectangle is A equals base times height, B times H. And then I'm going to fill in what the base and the height are. So the base is 8, and my height is 8. So I'm going to say A equals 8 times 8 is 64, and then don't forget your unit, inches squared. So now we know that the area of this shape is 64 inches squared, and the area of this shape, of the triangle, is 16 inches squared. Okay? So now that we know the area of this, the triangle, and the area of the rectangle, our last step is that we need to combine those two areas, because remember, this shape wants to be together. It wants to be together. We can't break them apart for long.
Happy together. I can't see me loving nobody but you for all my life.
So we're going to add together 16 plus 64, because that will be the total area of our shape. So 16 plus 64 is 80 inches squared, or square inches. So our total area of this composite shape is 80 inches squared. A couple things to note. I don't think that composite shapes are that difficult, because we already know how to find the area of these shapes. The problem is going to be organizing your work. Look how organized and neat this is. This is what I want to see. We want to see you numbering your shapes. We want to see them labeled with your work. That way, when you combine your total area, it's much faster. Okay? All right, so let's do another example. Here is what do we call the shape? This shape is a trapezoid, okay? A trapezoid is actually made up of 3 shapes that we know how to find the area. It's made up of 2 triangles and a rectangle. So how we're going to break this shape apart is we are going to break it up into 2 triangles and a rectangle. Do you see that? Triangle here, rectangle in the middle. So let's start by finding our lengths of this new shape over here, okay? So we know that this bottom is 5. That's staying the same. That's going to be the base of our rectangle. It's going to be 5 centimeters. This length is staying the same, 4 centimeters, because nothing is divided with it. The height here is actually staying the same, because that's not being divided at all. So that will stay 3 centimeters. Okay. The only thing we need to figure out is this length from here to here and this length from here to here, because we already know the base of that is 5. So this is where it gets a little tricky, because over here it tells us that this whole side is 9 centimeters. That whole side is 9 centimeters. But this triangle doesn't take up the whole side, so we're going to have to subtract. We're going to have to subtract 9 minus 5 to figure out what's left over for these 2 triangles. But then remember, there's 2 triangles left, okay? So 9 minus 5 is 4. That means that there's 4 centimeters combined between these 2 triangles, right? So that actually means that each triangle would get 2 centimeters. Do you agree that 2 plus 5 plus 2 is 9? Yeah, 2. So 2 plus 5 is 7, plus 2 is 9. So that would make this whole thing 9 if each of those is 2 centimeters. That's the hardest part, is figuring out those triangle lengths. So you need to subtract the total length by what's down here and then divide it by 2. So now I want to start by numbering these shapes. So I'm going to number them, remember, with the circle. 1, 2, 3. I just numbered straight across. Really doesn't matter what order you number them in, but that's what I chose to do. So I'm going to start by finding the area of shape number 1. Now, something else that you can look at is shape number 1 the same as any other shape? Yes, shape number 1 and shape number 3 are actually the same shape, because they have the same length, they have the same height, and they're both triangles. So we could say that we're finding the area of shape 1 and shape 3. shape 1 and shape 3 both have the same area. So the area formula will be A equals base times height, and then it's a triangle, so divided by 2, because they're both triangles. So the area for shape 1 and 3, the base of them is 2 centimeters, because we found that 2 from the 9, subtracting 5, divided by 2 with what's left over. So the base is 2, and the height here is 3. Remember, the height has to make a 90-degree angle with the base. So if 2 is our base, that means that the pink line is our height, not this black line. That is not our height. That does not make a 90-degree angle with the base. So 2 times 3 divided by 2. So area is, 2 times 3 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So we would say 3 square centimeters. That is the area of shape 1 and 3. So now let's find the area of the rectangle. Okay, so the rectangle is shape number 2. So the area for shape number 2 is base times height. That's the formula. And so let's fill in the base and the height. Well, the base of our rectangle is 5 times the height of our rectangle is 3. So A equals 5 times 3, which is 15 squared centimeters. So now we know the area for shape 1 and shape 3 and shape 5. So now to find, once again, look how nice and neat and organized. So neat, so organized. So now we need to find the total area by adding together the triangle, the rectangle, and the triangle. So the area for a trapezoid is the area of a triangle plus the area of a rectangle plus the area of a triangle. So we need to add together shape number 1 plus shape number 2 plus shape number 3 to get A equals, shape number 1 is 3 plus the area of shape number 2 is 15 plus the area of shape number 3 is 3. So then I would get 3 plus 15 is 18 plus 3 is 21 squared centimeters. That would be our total area for this shape. Okay? You could also multiply 3 by 2 since it's 2 shapes to get 6 and do 15 plus 6, which would still get you 21. Okay? So this is what your work should look like. I should see the shapes numbered with circles around them. I should see the work labeled with what shapes they are associated with. I should see total area written out nice and neat with my answer boxed in. This is what your work should look like when you are finding the area of a composite shape. It's not that hard, but it is a lot of work, and the hardest part about it is organizing your work. But I wouldn't ask you to organize it if I didn't think it was really important to help you understand the content. Okay? Also, make sure you're labeling the weird side lengths. Like, I didn't leave a 9 up here because I think that's confusing. I rewrote it to have the 2 centimeters and the 2 centimeters. That's also something that I would recommend. Okay? All right. Let us know if you have any questions. Bye.